The conversation continues. Now your host, Abeytia.
Welcoming today to The Conversation Continues, Nutritionist Nicolette Pace. Had her on a couple of times to talk about, the wonderful world of eating and the beauty of food, but eating the right kinds of food. Nicolette, it's a pleasure to have you today. Thank you for returning.
Absolutely. So glad to see you again.
Well, and we're actually doing this by video. Last time it was by phone, and so we were just talking to each other as though, you just kind of imagine what the other is thinking, but it's nice to get all of those nonverbal cues on there as well. Well, there's a new survey showing that at least 1 in 5 parents believe that their children have consumed way too much junk food since the pandemic began, with everybody hunkering down. What they're eating hasn't exactly been top-grade food. What do you make of this? Is this anything for concern with children especially?
Absolutely. This is probably the second significant survey that's come out of the COVID thing. Very interesting. Think about it. There were 2,000 subjects interviewed, 2,000, and as I say, roughly 1 in 5. Parents are reporting that the children are consuming 2 times a week of fast food. And then when you look at the study stats even further, it's saying that, more parents are reporting that, the prevalence of the children having weight problems is at least 1 in 6. So that begs the question, like a chicken and an egg, are the parents who report more stress, more busyness? Is it because the kids are having weight problems that they're, or is it the other way around? Is it more reflective of a household dynamic? And without a doubt, there's a lot of outcropping out of the COVID. People's domestic situation has changed drastically. The good news is the majority of people are saying, we're doing more home cook. But it's really quite interesting. And I know this from my tenure in practicing with WAP. Upwards of 75,000 people in their lifestyle. And I've always advised patients, whenever there's a change in your household dynamic, the birth of a new baby, your mother-in-law comes to live with you. You get a bird, a cat, a dog. There's always going to be a change in that. And I would say in some ways it's not disheartening. Any increase is bad, but thank God it's not like a huger percentage, but it probably will accelerate. And that's a shame. And look at the subjects they looked at. They were ages from 3 to 19. But think about it. I mean, does a 4-year-old have the ability to run out and get a hamburger? So, and my heart goes out, and I understand. It's very difficult. A lot of stress. So changes in the household dynamic, clearly. Somebody's out of work, somebody's at home, the kids are running around, they can't go out, they can. It's very understandable. And what I disliked very much about this finding was, just the mere, people need tangible things of what to do. And basically all they're saying is people should read the nutrition facts label. Really.
Well, there are things on there that you can't even understand. There are a lot of the names people can't pronounce. I'm glad you mentioned hamburgers because that's something that a lot of parents say, my kid, 2, 3, 4 years old, doesn't really like to eat veggies. They don't like home-cooked meals. I make a nice steak and broccoli and pilaf and beans, and they don't like it. So it's easier to go get the little clown, shall we say, meal. And they like that. They get their fries, they get their nuggets or their burger, and they get a little toy, and they're happy. What are some things that parents can give their kids? Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's true. But you see, kids are very sensitive to the dynamic. They mimic the adults. So if they see a drastic change, like if the parents are doing X and X, and all of a sudden it's different. Like we're going to eat healthy now. And then here comes the steak, here comes the eggs, here comes the fish. The kids are looking like kids. You need to put forth new foods in a very neutral way. And what they do is they look, they stare. What are you eating? And if the parent says one thing and does another, very suspicious. Don't eat junk food. Meanwhile, they're sitting around on the television, munching away. Kids are like, this is rude. And don't forget, their brains are sponges. They're picking up everything. So the best, especially for young ones, offer food in a very neutral way. And if it's consistent, it's fine. Once in a while, there'll be an aversion to something under the sun. I was raised in Europe, so wow. I was eating broccoli labi when I was a baby. Nothing wrong with that. But, and think about when you start offering new foods like broccoli, if you're putting forth chicken nuggets and pizza, and then you're saying, eat your broccoli, come on. Who's going to eat that? It tastes horrible. Of course I want the pizza and the nuggets. They taste good. They're designed that way.
That's the key word there, is they are designed as opposed to foods that are natural. We've talked in the past about so-called healthy foods that are making you fat. I think you mentioned that people come in and you find out that they're eating 1,200 calories worth of granola or something like that. Go over that. What are some of the foods that you would advise people to stay away from that are so-called healthy?
These are calorie-dense foods, and they have an aura of being healthy. And you're looking at concentrated sources of calories like peanut butter, nut butters, granola, trail mix, any sort of chips, because with the water content removed, they're very calorie dense. So 1 ounce is upwards of 150 calories, which is actually per ounce much more than even pepperoni. So I hate demonizing food. And, it really disheartens me when children are affected. And I don't blame parents. There's been a huge amount of lifestyle disruptions. But in our weakness, I think we're going about it wrong, and we're falling prey to, a business. And, it's very much absorbed convenience. It's convenient. Of course, it's convenient, it's quick, and it's inexpensive. I mean, where can you get a family meal for like $3? You see, so don't you think the people producing the food know this? That's how they're selling it. So I just wanted to offer some level of confidence. It's very easily doable. You can't, be the antithesis to what's going on. And when you look at, let's say, the youngins, what is a 3-year-old really going to do? Are they going to be running out on their tricycle to get? It's almost silly. They're getting it in the house, right? It's doable. It's fine.
Kind of a light bulb moment. Another thing that always intrigues me, and we're getting near Thanksgiving and going into the holiday eating season, a lot of people really, the weather changes. You talk about the lifestyle changes in the home. The fireplace maybe's on, and you're baking something. Somebody here in California, we have these wonderful things from Mexico called tamales that everybody likes to eat around this time of year. What are some ways, obviously this isn't fast food junk necessarily, but that again doesn't mean that it is healthy to just consume without any degree of moderation. What are maybe the top 3 tips that you would give people during the holiday eating season to not just pack on the pounds in only maybe 5 or 6 weeks?
Not to fall prey, because there are hormonal changes going on now. There's an increase of serotonin. Everybody wants to just kind of get in that comfort food zone. And Halloween around the corner is inundated with tons and tons of sugar. And another study that came out, it was insane. So my suggestion is, so many different tips for kids. Maybe you'd be on the scope of today, but, walking around, maybe going in a little hike and picking up the treats that come from a tree and having them do some type of activity, or picking out the candy that especially want and then donating the rest to some place where kids don't have that ability. But, it comes from the purchasing power. If you buy it, it's there. So you can't blame the kids. They just follow the lead. It's not fair. It really isn't. You can make apples. You could do seasonal local. You take apples, you make some caramel, and this way, bobbing for apples, all kinds of fun stuff. All kinds. You have to accentuate maybe the fall season, and it's family time, and it shouldn't revolve around chocolate and peanut butter.
I always like to go after. I'm a huge fan of butter, and I always like to go after the fake stuff, the margarine and the other junk. And I think we've talked about that before, the correlation between that types of fat and heart disease and whatnot. If you're going to bake, obviously baking is very popular around this time of year. Do you need to be focusing on getting really good ingredients, or maybe using something other than processed sugar, the fake butter, the margarine type? Should you focus on using those better, more natural ingredients, even though you're not necessarily making something healthy?
That's a good question. And if people are kind of already have that type of household where they're already focused. But if you're looking at, average people that are, all of a sudden deciding they're going to bake something. Look, bake it with butter. I'm French. Butter's better. Make it the right way. I'm always like, especially as Thanksgiving rolls around and, making like, I don't know, a tofu cheesecake. Come on. It's not going to satisfy your craving. Make it the right way and move along. But please, as we now have intensified the holiday to, Halloween. Originally, it was 40 days of like a holiday, overeating fest. Now, think about the time. It's 60 to 70 days. And if you look at this, it's compounded on top of already what's happening, because it's a year and a half at least with the COVID issue. So, I'm disheartened with it. But my main counseling, you can't listen to the same old jargon all the time. Read the nutrition facts label. Nobody looks at that. They look at the front of the box, made with whole grain, so they buy it, et cetera, et cetera. And if I were the powers that be, I would change that whole nutrition facts label upside up. It's archaic. It makes no sense. You got to use your common sense. There's really nothing wrong with food. I hate demonizing it, and there's no way we're proliferating this among children. I mean, many of them, because they're so used to seeing a chicken nugget in the shape of like a tree or something. If you bring them out to a farm and you show them a chicken, they're like, they go crazy. It's unnatural and it's wrong. And if you start putting children on vegan diets, because that is the worst thing for a child's growing brain, because they need fat. The brain is 66% fat. And putting them on a low-fat diet is horrendous. It doesn't really foster neurological development and growth. So, okay, you could use other alternative sources and stuff, but unless it's already established in the household, when children see an abrupt change, they revolt. And as they get older, it's even worse, because now they're going after the peers. So you just made yourself move.
Nutritionist Nicolette Pace, always a pleasure to have you. If people want to learn more about all of your wonderful offerings and dive into the listings that you have on ways that you can clean out the pantry, so to speak, and eat a little bit better, where do they find you?
Nutrisource.org. Also, please tune in Nicolette Pace Show. Lots of good information.
Absolutely.
iHeart, everywhere.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicolette. Look forward to having you back sometime soon. Always a pleasure to dive into something that admittedly for me is a bit of a challenge, as I would have a rare steak and a baked potato every night if I could, but trying to get a little bit more in there to bolster things.
Can I come over? I like that.
Yeah, I think everybody should have a rare steak once or twice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, Nicolette.
You too.
Bye-bye.